Yes, any more questions, guys? Yes, here. Yeah, you can take the mic.
Sir, for prelims mocks for general studies and CSAT, how many minimum number of mocks should we take? And in CSAT especially, what is the number of questions we have to attempt? Like the reading comprehension part should be compulsory attempted the 28 questions. How is that strategy for CSAT and mocks?
So I think there is no ideal number as such. So you need to understand why you are giving mocks first, right? So there are sectional mocks. So they will help you to understand your knowledge gaps in each subject. And based on that, in subsequent readings, you will have to modify your reading strategy. And they are full length to get to experience the actual exam experience. And they are open test again conducted by various institutes. And they have the purpose of giving you where do you stand in the competition and just a sort of offline experience. And with respect to the, so based on this you can decide. So if you want to give sectional mocks, so like I said, if you want to test your knowledge here, in the initial stage of your prelims preparation, you can go ahead and give maybe 2 to 3 for each subject. And in the last month, I would advise you to give more full length. And with respect to the number of questions to be attempted in CSAT, there is no again number that you have to target, but I would say somewhere around 45 to 50 with good accuracy. So when I say good accuracy, more than 85 to 90% or at least somewhere around that region. Because in GS we have a lot of, let's say, scope to leave more questions or maybe get more questions wrong. Let's say somewhere around 20 questions you can get wrong and still you can clear the exam. But in CSAT it is not like that. Due to the paucity of time, we are already attempting less number of questions, so their accuracy is important. And with respect to the comprehension that you asked, like should we go for all the comprehension questions? Again, there is no strict rule. So if you observe the previous year questions, there are some questions which are tricky in nature. So especially students, including me, struggled with assumption-based questions. So we are assuming something and they are assuming something. So it is always the case. So if you are having some such problems, so you take the decision, and especially in comprehension, when you read the question, you get a gut feeling that I have the clarity and this is the right answer. And sometimes you feel that I have understood a little bit, but I'm not sure. So when you are not sure, you can just leave it. There is no such rule that you should attempt all the comprehension questions. But while you are ending the paper, you make sure that you are attempting somewhere around 45. If you have not reached that target, then you take risk. Otherwise, you have to just play with your strengths, especially in CSAT. The idea is to identify easy questions because you have the luxury of leaving, let's say, 30 questions. So which means every second question in logical reasoning or aptitude you can skip. So you don't need to take a question and challenge it and then spend 5 to 10 minutes and get the right answer. So you're not going to get 10 marks for that. So my advice would be to understand your strengths and weakness and then choose the questions wisely. So don't get stuck with the question. So I hope I have given some clarity.
I was talking about my 2023, I said I gave around 50 tests, okay, out of which around 25 to 30 must have been full length. And in my 2024, the only mark that I wrote was in the exam hall. Okay, still I cleared both of it. See, it does not matter how many you give, but how well you understand your mark you are giving. See, once you write a mark and you come back, or once you write any exam and you come back, there are, say 100 questions, 50 you have made them correct. You just read the question, you read the answer. Your job is done. You read the question, you have made it correct, then your answer, you write one line in the question paper itself, okay, your job is done. Then 50 questions you have marked them wrong. You should divide your questions into 3 categories. Okay, the first category is the question 1, which is taught in the class or you read it in the book, still you didn't read, you didn't attempt it or you marked it wrong. That is category number 1. Category number 2 is, these 50 to 50 questions, which you marked wrong. Number 3 are some very arbitrary random questions which you didn't do. The category 1 is the one that you should have answered right, but you didn't make it right. That is because you didn't read well. So on those topics you should read well. Category 2 are the questions that are 50-50 in nature, that you did wrong because you didn't have revision enough. You didn't have clarity. You were slightly confused. Category 3 are the questions that are very vague and very arbitrary, that you will be like, these sorts of questions may not appear again. That you should not read again. Any paper that is set by any institute or even including UPSC will have around 15 to 20 questions that are very vague and arbitrary, for which you cannot prepare and you should not prepare also, you will be wasting your time. Okay, so you should be targeting around say 70 questions. Okay, that should be your idea. And as I said, why I said the questions that you have already marked you should not read, the solution is because the coaching institutes are printing answers of around 30 pages or 40 pages. The first test that I wrote, full length test, it took me 3 days to finish the synopsis. Then once I became a pro, I could finish the synopsis in 2 hours. Because I knew, that is how you approach it. CSAT also I would say you should do 55. CSAT I will tell you what my understanding is. I am also not a strong math background, but average. I tell you, for everybody here, the non-Hindi speakers in this exam are at disadvantageous position. It is a fact. Because the questions are printed in English and Hindi. They are not printed in Kannada. Many of these reading and comprehension, they are interpreted slightly in a different way in Hindi. So Hindi students can read either Kannada or either English or Hindi. For them it is a slightly advantage. And even if you are preparing for state service also, you know that the quality of translation that they are doing, you know that you have to rely on English. You must read newspapers till probably for the next 5 years. Even if you leave general level also, you should read newspapers, because there is no way to survive in this exam without having a strong English. The only way to solve reading and comprehension is having good English. There is no other alternative. Practicing also will not help. Okay, assumption, we assume something, you guys assume something else. So practicing also for reading comprehension does not help. You should have a good English. One. Second one is reasoning and aptitude. That you do it by practice. Like all this tap problem or direction problem is going west, east. All that you do practice, or ABCD is French is JQ and this. You see that many of them are very simple. If you solve around 20 to 25 papers, you find that there are repetitions. This, if you have practiced well, you will solve it. Then comes maths. Maths in exam condition is very tricky, because whatever you learn in the classes or the formula, nothing works in the exam hall, because it takes more time to solve a question. So as I said, 55 you should attempt. There are only 2 rules. One is you should attempt 50 plus. Second, rule number 2 is you should touch all 80 questions. Whether you attempt it or not attempt it, but you should be able to go till the last question. You should be able to flip pages. Because many of the aspirants will say, last full easy question, what I could have answered it, but I didn't go till the last 20 questions. So this you should follow. You should smartly know, even if you can solve a question, if it is taking you 6 to 7 minutes, like for example 20-25 minutes, there was one tap related question. That was a 4 to 5 step question. If it is taking too much time, you just skip and move ahead. Okay? But English comes a long way. It helps you in a lot of things. So that is something you should continuously work on.
Great.